Hello and welcome. You're about to witness another exciting episode of the Napoleon Hill Video Ezine newsletter. Today I have Judy Williamson from the Napoleon Hill Foundation, and I'm Ray Stendall, and today we're going to talk about the importance of reading, the importance of learning, and really being able to increase our level of competence, whether we're studying nonfiction or if we're just even relaxing and enjoying a great novel that puts us in a different frame of mind. Judy, how are you doing today?
I'm fine. How are you, Ray?
Oh, I'm very excited. We're getting ready to go to Malaysia, and I have 1,001 things that have a big list that I'm following through on before the
That's
trip.
what I'm doing too. I'm writing a list daily and trying to keep up with it, and I think the list is escaping me.
Yep.
I get about five things done, and then something else happens, and I get a phone call, or I get a this, or I get a that, and I lose my track of my list. But I know it's only a week away from tomorrow that we'll be leaving, so very excited.
It's going to be a great trip, a great journey. We're going to meet a whole bunch of new people, make some new connections, and share some wonderful knowledge with all the attendees. So it's going to be a great event.
It will, and I just want to take a moment to wish our guest columnist today, Don Green, a very happy birthday because March 1st is his birthday. And so he will be celebrating this weekend, and we just want to say a very happy birthday to Don Green, our executive director for the Napoleon Hill Foundation.
Absolutely. Happy birthday, Don. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. So that's wonderful. So for today, let's talk a little bit about our topic. And Don is our guest columnist in this issue, all about the importance of reading. What are some of your thoughts on the importance of reading, Judy?
Well, I don't know if you know this, but I am a reading specialist. I went on for an additional license in my educational career to become a K through 12 certified licensed reading specialist for a school corporation. So I think you can assume that reading is very significant for me. I really use reading for about everything I do in life. I use it to learn new ideas. I use it for entertainment. I use it to promote new thought by reading what other people write and reading my own writing. And I'm just an avid reader. And one of the things that I worry about as I get a little older is my eyesight. Sometimes my eyes get a little tired and I say, oh, what am I going to do? If I can't read all these hours every day, but I guess there are books on tape, books on CD, books on recordings. So, there's a solution to everything, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I feel the same. I feel the
You
same
read
way.
too.
Oh,
Yeah?
yes. I read a lot. I tend to read 2 to 3 books at the same time. I kind of move from one genre to another genre. And I just find that it's so important because, life is moving forward so quickly. And if we do not equip ourselves with new perspectives, new ideas, we tend to get stale and, our creativity suffers and we really can't lead the best life that we can. So I think reading is very important. And like you, I also embrace audiobooks. I'm a happy customer of Audibles. I don't know if you've used their service before, but they're a great audiobook vendor. And I remember being told by many great leaders that whenever you're in your car, it doesn't move unless there is some valuable content being shared with you in the car. It's kind of like an audio university. When the car moves, you're learning something or getting a different perspective.
That's right. And this morning I was listening to one of my favorite poets. He's a man named John O'Donoghue. He's from Ireland. And I've purchased all his materials on tape and on books and on CDs. And recently he passed away a few years back, but he's immortal in his works. And so you can read everything with the freshness that he's written and learn from him even though he's no longer with us. That's part of the immortality of books and reading, because what's down in print stays with us for as long as we can pick up a book or pick up a lecture or anything and read, and that's the importance of it.
And to add to what you're saying, I think one of the most important aspects of reading is someone can live their whole life and go through the journey and figure out their pathway to be as successful as possible. And quite often they will articulate it as clearly as they can in the written word, right? They write it down, they talk about what they learned, they talk about their journeys, they talk about their perspective. And through reading, and I would like to say studying, because there's a big difference between casually reading and reading with a clear purpose and really trying to internalize information, we can obtain all of this wonderful perspective. And as I've found, more on the business side, but really throughout most of life, There's so many different things which are learnable. So if there's something that we know we need to get better at, we just need to find the 5 best experts that we can come across, read their books, study their materials, and start to practice what they talk about.
Hmm. My mother used to tell me you can learn anything that you need to know by reading. And I guess I heard that message early on, and I carried it with me all through my life. And Don Green told me several times that when he would visit people's homes, and he wasn't checking them out or anything like that, but he was looking around to see, you know, what they had. And he said the homes with books were the homes that really indicated to him that the people were alive and well and moving forward. And the homes where he would go into with no books, they seemed stagnant and, like you said, stale, and no vibrancy in them. And it makes a difference. So I guess, you know, if we have reading material in our homes, whether it's on the internet or whether it's in book form or however we get it, it just shows that we're ongoing learners. And I think that's important. I think it's really important.
You know, you raise a wonderful point. Actually, when I was really young, I was taught by my parents about art, and I read some books on how to appreciate art and the different types of art. And actually, the reason I bring up art is because it's a parallel to books. Because what you put on your walls is a sign of what you respect, because you elevate it to a prominent place in your home. The same thing with books. The books that you have easy access to. Like behind me, there's a bookshelf. I have so many books that I'm running out of space. I would like to have a library, a room just dedicated wall-to-wall books. That's my dream. I want to have that. But the books that I have close access to, these are my high priority books. And you can tell a lot about what types of books people read, what they study, what they recommend to others. And I definitely agree with Don's assessment, and you can tell a lot by what people are reading and what they are interested in.
No joke, I'm not teasing, but I probably have 300 to 500 books on shelves in my bedroom.
In your
Just
bedroom? Wow.
Not the rest of the house. In fact, reason we were a little late today in getting this call is because I was buying some more bookshelves. I told Chino, my assistant here, my executive assistant, that I had to stop at Home Depot because I had to get these bookshelves.
So actually, that's a great point, because, you know, I was running into the same situation because I took as many of my most valuable books, and some of them are old, some of them are originals, and some ones signed by Napoleon Hill himself. And I have those ones on, but I have some others which are lower priority, but I'd still like to have access to them because, you know, I appreciate them, but I don't have any space for them. So what I've done is actually I've moved to the wonders of digital media, and I have my iPad.
There you go.
Through the power of my iPad, let me just share for those of you who don't use an iPad or a Kindle, what's so great about it. Number one is that you never lose your books. You can always find what you're looking for, because it's always a search away. It's always stored. It's never going to get compromised. Of course, it's not the physical form, but it's a digital form. And on an iPad or a Kindle, the reading experience is really quite phenomenal. Number two, you can do a dictionary search right into the book. So if you don't know a word, you can find out right there. You can search, you can highlight, you can take notes, just like a real book. And I find it's been a really great lifesaver, because I probably have about 100 books on this one device, and it goes with me wherever I go. So a good tool to have if you enjoy reading.
I don't have one of those, but I do have an iPhone. And when we're creating our materials for work, a whole document, a whole book, say a 300-400 page book, can be downloaded in maybe 2 minutes. And so when I'm in the car, I can scroll for the book. I can look for, you know, corrections and things. What a great age we're in, because it just, you know, it enables us to do so many things in a quicker way than we were able to do it before. And that's one of the great things. I think books offer entertainment too. You asked me what books I read or what I've read recently, and I read a variety of books. I read travel books, I read cookbooks, I read books on cats, I read fiction books, I read poetry books. Anything that just captures my interest, I pick up. I read how-to books all the time. You know, how to write, how to do a daily journal, but I always go back to the same authors that I like. And I can't wait for a new book to come out, because I know I may not learn everything in that book. I may know it already, but there might be 2 or 3 new ideas that I can pick up that are just worth the price of the book. And that's what I do. I enjoy it.
Well, you said something very key that I don't know if a lot of people appreciate. See, you said one or two key ideas from a book. See, I think for you and for me, if I can get one or two brand new ideas that I didn't think of before, it's totally worth the price of the book. My expectation isn't to get 20 or 30 ideas. I just need one or two. And that can often make the difference in whatever it is you're trying to accomplish. So that's one key thing. In terms of the categories, I like to read personal development books, economics, books on economics, health, fitness, these types of books. I'm also interested in psychology and pretty much almost every business category, particularly marketing and sales. These are the ones that I tend to gravitate to. And also biographies. I was actually just reading, or listening, I should say, to one on Steve Jobs on my way out to Chicago last week. I was going out to speak to 50 business executives. And I was really learning about his life and, his pathway to get to where he got to. And I found that fascinating.
I just finished up one on Benjamin Franklin. And I find him fascinating because in the United States, he is the original self-help author. And when he started with Poor Richard's Almanac, he had the vision. And many of his little sayings, his little proverbs are things that Napoleon Hill picked up later and kind of refined. If you go back and read, you could see the transition from Benjamin Franklin to other people in the United States to Napoleon Hill.
Also, on that topic, Wallace Wattles is someone I've read a fair bit on, and I can certainly see a fair number of ideas in Napoleon Hill's work from Wallace Wattles.
There's nothing new under the sun. It's all the same material. It's just a different perspective in looking at it. I keep telling, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I tell my students, Napoleon Hill didn't create the information that he's sharing. What he did do, and he should be given credit for this, is he put it into a system. No one else has put the 17 success principles into a system or a science of success. They talk about 2 or 3. They talk about how these are so important, like applied faith or having a purpose or, learning from adversity and defeat, but they don't put them all together. And I think that's the brilliance of Napoleon Hill, because he says you need more than 1 or 2. You need all 17. And in those 17, it's kind of soup to nuts. It's the start to the finish. And that's what I think is so unique about Napoleon Hill. And it took him a lifetime to figure it out. And when he did, he stayed with that concept. And he developed it and kept at it. And his course, PMA Science of Success course, the educational edition, which will soon be marketed for us by Nightingale Conant in a home study version, is exactly those 17 success principles in a nutshell. And I think that's just a wonderful way to look at Napoleon Hill because, as you said, he was an avid reader, he took ideas and he incorporated them into his works. We all do that. But then he went a step further. He created the system that we now use.
Well, and I think that's one of the key things right there. It's that without having an integrated framework, which in this case we have 17 success principles, or there's other authors and they have their various frameworks. Without a framework, it's hard for the student to be able to A, estimate the progress that they're making, B, be able to follow along, and C, be able to have an appreciation for how it all fits together. So I think the best authors and speakers today and the best ones from the past always did their best to integrate and assimilate their knowledge in an easy to understand framework, and that's exactly what Napoleon Hill did.
That's absolutely true. And I have other authors, self-help writers that I love, like Claude Bristol. He wrote the book called Magic of Believing, and I go back and reread that book about every year. But it's on applied faith. It's on talking about, the idea of just, having faith in what you're doing. Well, that's a good shot in the arm for faith, but where's the rest of the stuff? Because you need more than just a belief. You need action. And so, that is good for that area, but you need to expand it too. And I also read Dr. Murphy and the power of the power of your subconscious mind. But again, that's insufficient. You just can't rely on one thing to bring the total success that you're looking for. You have to incorporate everything else too.
No, I agree with you. Some of my other favorite authors are James Allen. Really, his books are wonderful. Maxwell Maltz, Psycho-Cybernetics, classic, definitely worth looking into. In a slightly different arena, when we talk about influence and persuasion, there's a gentleman by the name of Cialdini, and he wrote a great book called Influence, which is definitely worth taking a look at. So many great books. to look
Uh-huh.
at. Let's talk just real briefly. I know we've been going kind of long here, but how do you read books? And I'd love to find out how you read books, and I'll share how I read them in terms
Well, it
of your
depends on what I'm
methodology.
reading it for. And, the purpose that I have in reading. If it's light reading, I read for entertainment. I don't do any annotating or rereading or proofing. And if I've taken speedy reading courses where I know how to go down the page and kind of skim through a book very quickly to get the essence of the book. And I had a very good instructor here at Purdue University for that. Her name was Sigrid Stark. And she told me when I would come to an interesting part in the book, I'd hold the light that would go down the page. And she's not supposed to do that. I said, I want to read it all. But I did learn how to skim and glean the important parts from books. But if I'm reading for content, I read differently. I read very slowly. I read with a pen in hand. I annotate the material as long as it's my book. And then I go back and review what I've marked up because those are the significant parts. And it just depends on the purpose you're reading for.
Well, I'll share with you how I do it. What I tend to do is, the first time I read through a book, my goal is to get about 70 to 80% of the value. So I modulate my speed relative to the complexity of the material to capture 70 to 80% of the value. And then if I think it's really useful, I'll probably let about a week or 2 weeks go by, and I'll come back and I'll reread it at a slower pace. And then what I tend to do then is I create a mind map or a learning map based on everything that I've read, so that I can capture the key ideas on that topic, so that if I read another book by another author or the same author on the same topic, I can build on the mind map. So the mind map is basically a diagram that allows me to relate ideas together, and then I store it away. So it's how I'm able to capture ideas and then use them at a later point in time.
I'm sure you've heard when people say every time they reread Think and Grow Rich, the book gets better. And they say, oh, I didn't see it, or that part wasn't apparent to me. Really, the book hasn't changed at all. It's the same book. It's you that's changed. And so when you read the book 2 or 3 years down the road, you have new experiences you're bringing to the book that you're integrating. Reading is an active process. It's not a passive process. It's not like watching a movie. You're interacting with the page. And so when you do that with Think and Grow Rich, you're bringing new experiences and new ideas and new thought, new content to the book that you're putting into it yourself. So if you have a new brainstorm or a new idea, it's not because it wasn't apparent to you the first time you read it. It was because you have changed.
And then along with what you just mentioned, to really get the most out of new material, if there's somebody that you're close with that is also interested in the same type of material, just the act of discussing the book and what was most important, because there are certain things that you may have not caught that somebody else caught, and the act of re-talking about it and even teaching to a certain degree, depending on how much you like the material, can really help cement new ideas. So that's
a perfect way to learn even more in-depth material from a book. Discussion, mastermind alliance, teamwork, and then maybe teaching. Teaching is the highest level because you really have to integrate it.
Indeed. So, well, just to conclude, we were talking about the PMA, and for anybody who hasn't gone through and really studied the 17 success principles, I highly recommend that you do. I highly recommend you consider taking the certification program, and when the home study program comes out shortly from Nightingale Conad, do take the time to look into it, because it will really not only help your life, it'll help your family's life and pretty much everybody that you interact with. So,
and we are planning our next leader certification. This is not official, but it's close to official. We're looking at, again, another seminar beginning October 29th in Ireland, in Northern Ireland. And so kind of watch the information on the website for that, because we always try to get the very best deal, airfare and room and board and food and activities. So I think we're nearly there. We're nearly there.
Wonderful.
It'll be a 7-night stay at a manor house. And we'll be focusing on the leader certification there for 7 days. So they'll learn a lot.
Fantastic. Alrighty, Judy. Well, it's been another great, exciting talk, and look forward to the next one. And I'd like to recommend, just before I forget, I'd like to suggest that you've been watching this video so long with us so far. I'd really like to suggest you share this with others, because you obviously got value out of it. Share it with your friends, your family, your colleagues, and if you have questions or comments, things you really wanted us to emphasize moving forward, maybe new topics, please let us know. And you can send us an email at what you see at the bottom of your screen, and we'll get it, and we'll happily include you in the conversation.
Okay.
Alrighty. Thank you so much, Judy.
All right. Thank you, Ray.